Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Sutrasata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Chanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Navachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Vrimsakar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Shamkun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, नवदीप धाम की, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की, यमुना माई की, श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Humsane Kashaya Prabhupada Priyate Shruti Tashdi Nishthabyantasya Vakyanuvadine. Well, good morning everyone. Hare Krishna. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. And welcome to all our online viewers on Mayapur TV, ISKCON Sydney YouTube and Facebook. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 32. And Chapter 32 is titled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. And we are reading from text 39, and that has no purport. So we will continue on to text 40 afterwards. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Namasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Naitat Kalayo Padishen Naitat Kalayo Padishen Navinitaya Karhichit Nastabdhaya Na Bhinnaya Naiva Dharma Vajaya Cha Naitat Kalayo Padishen Navinitaya Karhichit Nastabdhaya Nabhinnaya Naiva Dharma Vajaya Cha Naiva Dharma Vajaya Cha Naitat Kalayo Padishen Navinitaya Karhichit Nastabdhaya Nabhinnaya Naiva dharma dvajaya cha. Naita kalayopadishem. Navinitaya karhichit. Nastabdhaya nabhinnaya. Naiva dharma dvajaya cha. Naita kalayopadishem. Navinitaya karhichit. Nastabdhaya nabhinnaya. Naiva dharma dvajaya cha. Naitat kalayopadishem. Navinitaya karhichit. Nastabdhaya nabhinnaya. Naiva dharma dvajaya cha. Naitat kalayopadishem. Navinitaya karhichit. Nastabdhaya nabhinnaya. Naiva dharma dvajaya cha. Okay. Now, note etat, this instruction, kalaya, to the envious, upadishet, one should teach, na, not, avinitaya, to the agnostic, karhichit, eva, na, not, stabdhaya, to the proud, na, not, bhinnaya, to the misbehaved, na, not, eva, certainly, dharma dvajaya, to the hypocrites, cha, also. Okay, so the translation for this morning shloka, translation and purport later on by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, translation, Lord Kapila continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for the persons who are unclean in their behavior. Nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. So we can repeat. Lord Kapil continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for persons who are unclean in their behavior. Nor is it for hypocrites or for persons who are proud of material possessions. Okay, so I'll read text 40. Na lolupaya dishen, na grahar rudha chetase, na bhaktaya chame jatu, na madbhakta divsham api. Translation, it is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, nor to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of devotees of the personality of Godhead. And the purport, persons who are always planning to do harm to other living entities are not eligible to understand Krishna consciousness and cannot ever enter into the realm of transcendental loving service to the Lord. Also, they are so-called disciples. They are so-called disciples who become submissive to spiritual master most artificially. with an ulterior motive, they also cannot understand what Krishna consciousness or devotional service is. Persons who, due to being initiated by another sect of religious faith, do not find devotional service as the common platform for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, also cannot understand Krishna consciousness. We have experienced that some students who come to join us, but because of being biased in some particular type of faith, they leave our camp and become lost in the wilderness. That's sad. Actually, Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian religious faith. It is a teaching process for understanding the Supreme Lord and our relationship with Him. Anyone can join this movement without prejudice, but unfortunately, there are persons who feel differently. It is better, therefore, not to instruct the science of Krishna consciousness to such persons. What is the ninth offense of chanting? A faithless person on the glories of the holy name. That is what this is telling us. So, it is better, therefore, not to instruct the science of Krishna consciousness to such persons. Generally, materialistic persons are after some name, fame, and material gain. So, if someone takes to Krishna consciousness for these reasons, he will never be able to understand this philosophy. Wow. So, if you came to Krishna consciousness asking for a permanent residence, or a Ferrari, or a pot of gold, then it will be difficult to understand this philosophy according to this, because material persons who are after some name, fame, material gain, if they come to Krishna conscious for these reasons, he will never be able to understand this philosophy. Such persons take to religious principles as a social decoration. They admit themselves into some cultural institutions for the sake of name only, especially in this age. Such persons also cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Even if one is not greedy for material possessions, but is too attached to family life, he also cannot understand Krishna consciousness. So who is it for? Even if he is too attached to family life, he cannot understand Krishna consciousness, even though he is not attached materially. Superficially, such persons are not very greedy for material possessions, but they are too attached to wife, children, and family improvements. When a person is not contaminated by the above mentioned faults, yet at the ultimate issue is not interested in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if he is a non-devotee, he also cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Wow. So there's a lot of don'ts here, like there's a lot of negatives here. Who cannot understand? The question is then, who can understand Krishna consciousness? So it's a very small sect if you look at it, or very small, but let's try to explore what the Bhagavad Gita says today. I kind of did a little bit of research on the Bhagavad Gita. So, very quickly, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, this is a very interesting topic or point of discussion for those who are preachers or who are interested in preaching or are taking up Krishna consciousness for the intention of devotional service to Krishna by preaching. So the trick is to learn the tricks of preaching, who to actually preach to. So if you read all this, you will find that there are quite a number of factors. One of them is if somebody comes to you and says, well, Krishna is rich, he's got money, if we come to Krishna, will we get money? it will be difficult for them to, you can tell them to chant Hare Krishna, they will take it out, by the way. So they will chant because they want material gains. Or if they want to come and become famous, well known, like we might have somebody who's very good in dancing, and particular, they want to perform a dance for Krishna, and we call lots of people. So such and such person will be known as a great dancer or a great kirtaniya. But that's going after fame. Such persons also will chant Hare Krishna, but they also cannot get the devotional service. Be truly Krishna conscious. So the point here is trying to chant purely and become a pure devotee, like a genuine devotee. So a difference between an artificial devotee and a genuine devotee. That is what this shlok is trying to tell us. Even those who are unable to, they don't want material things, but they are in it for their family. Like there was somebody that I knew who was, because in Krishna conscious life, you come across many kinds of devotees, and it's fine, everybody is different, they have a different way of approaching Krishna. But this particular devotee was only concerned about his kids, the husband and wife, and wanted to promote their children only and leave the rest of the devotees in the temple or in the congregation. So then there is a word that's called nepotism. Well, the intention is okay, but really one cannot be biased and just be particularly attached to their own family, because the Prabhupada made a family, the Srila Prabhupada's family is all of the members are our family, and we have to look at them in that respect. So Bhakta is our family, Mataji is our family, their children is our family, so not just our children. So the essence was that the attachment to something else other than Krishna will stop, is an obstacle to Krishna consciousness. That's the whole point. So if somebody is particularly interested in family, only attached to the family, then it's hard for such people to become truly Krishna conscious. Or if somebody is definitely attached to material gains, or greedy, or wants fame or wealth, then for such persons it's hard to become Krishna consciousness. So for the preacher, they have to be quite intelligent in judging a character of a person. Although our Guru Maharaj says, and Srila Prabhupada says, there are obviously four reasons that we come to Krishna conscious. By hook or crook, if they come, it's good, because they will turn into a devotee one day. In other words, if they chant Hare Krishna even once, they have to be respected. So I was having a look at it in a very interesting angle, and I found Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, in his own words, when he was explaining to Arjun. Actually, Arjun is a pure devotee, he doesn't need to be instructed. But for our sake, he was pretending to be confused. And Maya had actually enclosed his mental state so that he would get confused. And then Krishna would speak, and that would be recorded in the Bhagavad Gita, and then that would deliver us, foolish souls. So Arjun was playing this Leela for us, basically. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, if you read text 1, he says very clearly, he says to Arjun, and I like to always quote this shlok, practically in many classes I have done. Text 1, chapter 9, he says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Krishna, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, my dear Arjun, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of miseries of material existence. So the point was, even Krishna pointed out, and he points this out in many parts of the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, I think it is also there in chapter 18.71, something like that. If you read, he mentions enviousness over there as well. So actually the topic of our shlok this morning is envy. Those people who are envious, what happens to them? Well, bottom line is, if someone is envious of either Krishna or somebody else, living entities, they can never understand Krishna, the the confidential knowledge that he is imparting, Bhagavad Gita will be useless. Although the Bhagavad Gita is an open book, anybody can get it. Anybody can get hold of the Bhagavad Gita, but it's going to be useless if they are envious of nature. So I have a question for you. People who eat meat, those who are eating meat, or eating animals, let's put it that way, other living entities. So are they envious? That's my question. Yes, somebody said yes, and somebody said no. No? Anyone who's eating meat, is he envious? Anyone who is eating animals, would that qualify them as being envious? No? Okay, let me clarify that. That is good, because she is using her thinking. And Prabhu said yes, so we've got a yes and we've got a no. Actually, the answer is yes, they are envious. Why? Because, I will explain, because they are not compassionate to the animals enough to allow them to live a life. Envious of the living entities, they are, envious does not necessarily mean jealous in that sense. Envious just means that you do not respect them enough or do not have enough compassion to even allow them to flourish or live. But enviousness is also, they don't care. They don't care that there is a mother duck who has got baby ducks to feed. They don't care. So they will just eat. And the answer is, oh, it tastes good. The tongue. So enviousness, such people, let's look at it from another angle. Krishna said, envious people cannot be Krishna conscious, right? Or cannot understand devotional service. Now, meat eater, would they be able to understand devotional service, Krishna consciousness? The answer is no. If somebody eats meat very hard, cannot become a devotee. So that kind of falls under the category of enviousness. Yes. So meat eater. So Krishna tells Arjuna that. And let me read to you something that Prabhupada wrote in a purport in another class, and that was quite interesting. So Bhagavad Gita 18.71. This is also a nice one. In Bhagavad Gita 18.71, the translation, I'll read that. One who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reactions and attains the auspicious planets where the pious dwell. So I'm going to read to you a little bit further down in the purport. It is sort of unpacking that chapter 9.1 that we read. It sort of expands on that. So it says, it so happens that sometimes a devotee of the Lord will hold an open class, just like today we are holding an open class. And in that class, not all students are expected to be devotees. Like Prabhupada, when he went to give classes in the beginning, very few devotees. Actually, hardly anyone knew Krishna, right, back in those days. So they were not devotees. So but then what was it that made them devotees? So here it says, why do such persons hold open class? It is explained here that although not everyone is a devotee, still there are many men who are not envious of Krishna. So that was the secret behind Srila Prabhupada turning a lot of people into devotees, because they were sitting in the class, even though they didn't know about Krishna, they were just not envious. Their heart was kind of clear. They were open and receptive, and I guess the word would be respectful to other living entities and holding compassion, even though they didn't know Krishna. So this particular shlok in the Bhagavad Gita really does point out why it is that some people turn into devotees so fast. You might have actually experienced. Somebody takes off spiritually so fast, they advance so fast, and you wonder why they have gone ahead of you. Isn't it? They say, well, I've stayed behind, and they've gone, so far above me or beyond me. But I've been practicing so long, and I've been doing everything right. And I've been doing this service and that service, so how come this person has gone ahead of me? And they only been in the movement 5 minutes compared to my 5 years. So there's these questions that we do raise. So then we have to take a step back and you look at the heart of the person who has progressed further, and you might think, okay, I might have had to do a little bit of work on myself. Maybe I had to work through some issues. This person who has advanced so fast probably doesn't have an envious nature. You have to actually pray, by the way, to be born under certain stars in astrological charts that gives you those qualities that you are born a naturally non-envious person. Some people are just born happy. I remember when my teacher wrote a report on my school report, said she has happy disposition. I wasn't sure what that meant, a person with a happy disposition. That was my teacher's conclusion about me. But I'm just like, that's a thing that I'm pointing out. Some people just have a certain disposition. They are non-envious by birth, by nature. Others have to work on theirs. So yesterday actually we were discussing this envious because I was going to talk about this in class. So one Mataji, I was telling her, oh, my topic for tomorrow is going to be envious. And Mataji said to me, Srila Prabhupada has said, how do you judge yourself? How can you judge yourself to see whether you are a good devotee, advanced devotee? How can you measure your spiritual platform, how good a devotee you are? And she said, Prabhupada said, you can tell a person how good a devotee that person is or not is by seeing whether they're envious or not. If they still hold envy for somebody else's property, somebody else's bhakti or whatever it is, service, anything, if they're still envious of that, they're not a good devotee yet. They have to work on it. It's a work in progress. For those who don't care if somebody holds a title, for those who don't, it just doesn't affect them, that they are more physically attractive, or they have more of these possessions, or they have more bhakti, or they have more devotional service, they have a title, whatever it is. They don't care about that. They just want to, do their own thing and, have their own relationship with Krishna and progress at their pace, and they don't look at other people, compare themselves to other people, then their nature is less envious, and they probably will make better devotees by comparison. So this is what the answer to the question is, if we want to know how come some people advance faster. And we look at it in the sense of our Guru Maharajas, actually. They have so much compassion. What is the opposite of envy, by the way? What is the other positive side of envy? If one is not envious, then they are what? Compassionate. Correct. Compassionate. So you will see that the compassionate nature is what makes a person a great devotee, and that's what our initiating masters, spiritual masters, Srila Prabhupada have more than us. That's why they are able to deliver so many souls. So, what is the main quality of a preacher? If you want to preach to someone, you want to be a good preacher, what do you need? What's your essential ingredient that you should have in your character? Compassion, correct. You need compassion. You need to say, this poor soul needs the holy names of Krishna. This poor soul needs to know where is Krishna. It doesn't matter if they hate me right now. It doesn't matter if they are ignorant to me. But let me give them, the holy name. Let me give them a book. Let me go out of my way and organize some classes for them or something. Or distribute prasadam. any seva. But our spiritual masters go as far as taking the bad karma. Every initiation on every person, they take their bad karma on themselves. My spiritual master says often, right after initiation, he gets bad dreams. Monsters or demons, because there is, whatever bad karma the other person, the initiated person, has. So then my question to him was, then why do you do it and how do you combat it? Because you are our spiritual master. We don't want our spiritual master to be, carrying bad karma and then become bad or something. It is a bad effect. So I asked, what do you do? He said, oh, I just chant Hare Krishna, and that the effect of chanting negates. So it doesn't take very long to weigh out the effects of the bad karma that he takes on. Plus, they are protected by Krishna and they are bona fide representatives of Krishna, so it doesn't affect them. So where was I? So if such persons, they have faith in Krishna, they are not envious of Krishna, they have faith in Krishna, maybe he has a faith in God. They just think, okay, that's God. And so God is good. We will hear about God no matter if he's Krishna or he's called by any other name. So if such persons hear from a bona fide devotee about the Lord, the result is they become at once free from sinful reactions. And after that, they attain a planetary system where all righteous persons live. So these people who are non-envious and have listened to the word of God, the end of their life, they live in a planet where pious people live. What is piety? What is pious? When somebody is pious, what does that mean? We come across that word a lot. A planet where pious people live. What is piety? Good, right. Basically good. It means good. Pious people doing good karma, good things, devotional service to the Lord. In other words, they are not envious. They're not led by their envious behavior. They're pious. So they live in planets where they're pious people. So what kind of planet are we living in right now? We're living on planet Earth. Is everybody pious on this planet? No. So what did we do? We haven't done enough. We are not living in a planet where pious people live. So we have work to do. So generally they say, before pointing fingers at somebody else, point finger at yourself. This is a very good example. I'll give you a very first-hand example. My spiritual master gave this story. It's a very funny one. When they were brahmacharis in a temple, and in those days the temple president was also very young, in their early 20s, because Prabhupada made them temple presidents, as he was preaching. That was a very young movement at the time. So the brahmacharis were in their 20s and the temple president was in his 20s. And the temple president said to my Guru Maharaj, you have done this, and scolded them, chastised them. And the worst thing you have done is you've born on this earth. You are really low because you've been born on planet Earth. You have very bad karma. So they were, and my spiritual master said that we were chastised so heavily. I cried on my friend Tita Maharaj, was Bhakti Tita Maharaj at that time. Both of them, they cried on each other's shoulders because the temple president told them that they are low class, contaminated souls, born in this material world, and they deserve this kind of punishment. So then I said to my spiritual master when he was relating the story, I said, well, didn't you tell the temple president that he's in the same predicament and he should be also chastised because he's also born on this planet Earth? The difference is he's the temple president and you are not, you are a brahmachari. But basically, you are still in the same boat. So that's kind of funny. That was funny. And then Guru Maharaj said, oh yes, I'll use that next time. I will tell him. Actually, it already happened, but he said, I'll tell him that you also are born in this planet. But we've done something not, we didn't accumulate enough piety. So we have work to do. So now I'm almost reaching the end of the class and I wanted to tell you a very interesting story. If you harbor envy in this body, don't be too disappointed because envy goes all the way up to the spiritual world. So if you think that you are not you, but if those envious people, it's a nature. It even goes all the way up to the spiritual world. Although the envy in the spiritual world is transcendental, it cannot be compared to our world, obviously. So I was going to read to you about this particular shlok. This is in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, chapter 16, text 21. So 3 is 16.21. And here the translation is, "O Lord, you are exceedingly attached to activities of your pure devotees. Yet you are never attached to the goddess of fortune, who constantly engage in your transcendental loving service." Goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji. He is not even attached to her, even though she's serving at his lotus feet. So, how can you be so purified, therefore, by the dust of the path of transverse by the Brahmanas? And how can you be glorified or made fortunate by the marks of Srivatsa on your chest if you're not even attached to Lakshmi ji? So, here he says, all the demigods in the purport, all the demigods and other living entities worship Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, just to get her favor. Yet the Lord is never attached to her. Why? Because he can create unlimited number of such goddesses. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is sometimes, now here we come to that envious thing. It says here, the reason he is not attached to Lakshmi Devi is, the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, is sometimes envious. Who is she envious of? The tulsi leaves which are placed on the lotus feet of the Lord. For they remain fixed there, they do not move. Whereas Lakshmi ji, although stationed by the chest of the Lord, sometimes has to please her other devotees who pray for her favor. Lakshmi ji sometimes has to go to satisfy numerous devotees, but tulsi leaves, they never forsake their position. And the Lord therefore appreciates the service of the tulsi more than the service of Lakshmi ji. He appreciates the service of tulsi more than Lakshmi ji. Isn't that interesting? I came across this while I was doing this reading for this class. So, if you really want to please Krishna, be unwavering in your devotional service. Do not waver, do not detach, and try to nurture a non-envious nature. And the way to to have a non-envious nature is to instill compassion, be kind to all the living entities. Kind that you don't hurt them. Kind that you don't degrade them or say harsh words. We may think badly about them. Try to have a pure heart. The only way we can have purity in our hearts is by chanting the holy names. And the more we chant, the more pure our hearts will become. And then try to pray to Krishna for devotional service all the time when you are chanting. Like when we went to Vrindavan, our Guru Maharaj said, because we saw those desire trees, and you can ask the desire trees whatever you want. And he said, don't ask for anything except devotional service. So we were told what to ask for. Guru Maharaj can instruct you, by the way. The reason is that you could ask for something that will deviate you from devotional service. You might ask for a Ferrari or something, a palace. And that will give you attachment to them instead of Krishna. That will give you attachment for whatever it is you asked for. And so your attachment deviates from Krishna's lotus feet. And then you lose Krishna. So like Tulsi Maharani, who never leaves the lotus feet of Krishna, we have to take that lesson from her and pray to Tulsi Maharani that we never deviate from the lotus feet of Krishna. So that's the end of the class this morning. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Yes, Mataji. Yes. Correct, yes. Mm-hmm. That's a good question. So the question is, if someone is a meat eater and they cannot become Krishna conscious, then how do we deliver such souls? How do we get them to become Krishna conscious? Do we give them prasad first? Because it seems to be a cycle, right? They will take prasad, but they will take meat. They won't get Krishna conscious. Their mind is filled with enviousness. Well, I'll give you my own example. I was a meat eater, born meat eater. I was never vegetarian. We have to come back to that same point that there were meat eaters sitting in Srila Prabhupada's class too, but they did not hold any envious in their heart. They may have been eating meat in ignorance. In other words, they did not realize that they were killing animals and hurting them. Like, I'll give you an example of my little niece. She was 6-7 years old at that time, and she was running in the fields. We went to a farm, and there were a beautiful little lamb in New Zealand, white lamb, and she went and hugged the little lamb just like their whole little dolls, you know. For them, it's like a stuffed toy. It was so cute. And I said, well, my dear niece, that's lamb chops. Because she used to eat lamb chops, and she screamed and screamed and screamed because she loves the lamb. So those people who eat meat, they don't realize, the point I'm trying to make is that they're hurting the animals. But once they realize that this animal is feeling pain, is shedding blood, has little babies, has little children, once they come to this understanding, then they won't eat meat. But in order to come to that understanding, they have to have a non-envious nature in the heart. So the question was with the Mataji, what do we do with such people? First of all, we need to, obviously in a class, we need to get them to chant. Because the chanting is, while they are still eating meat, by the way, but we need to get them to chant first. And the chanting has the full power of the holy names of the Lord. Because Krishna is present, and wherever there is Krishna, he purifies the person. So with continued chanting, this is how I did it, my journey, because I was born a non-vegetarian. So I chanted. But then there has to be a wish to reach God too, because I wanted to know God as well. So there has to be a desire in the person's heart. And the reason they come to Krishna is expressing a desire to be near God. The reason they came to the class in the first place is they want to know about God, even though they're eating meat. They just don't know that eating meat or taking alcohol or doing some other nonsense is actually wrong. So with the continued chanting, they get purified. But they also need to hear. So like I'm giving a class today, and I'm saying, well, eating meat is wrong, you hurt animals. So once they hear the explanation, then they will leave it. Gradual. There are some people who've left meat overnight and become vegetarians overnight, and they're stuck. It was like me. I did it overnight. I was eating meat one day, and then the next day I didn't, and then after that I never went back. But there are some who are gradual. Depends on the person's nature. They might give up certain meats and still eat egg and call themselves eggetarians. Goodness gracious, it's very hard. So to answer your question, we need to get them chanting first. That's first. Get them to hear, like we are hearing classes. Thirdly, give them prasadam. For goodness sake, give them prasadam. Because they need the taste of vegetarian prasadam. But it's also prasadam, it's Krishna's Mahaprasadam that has the power. One person can go back to Godhead just by eating Mahaprasadam. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. So prasad has got a lot of power, full power in fact. So we need to distribute. So those three things, prasadam, chanting, hearing, association. Because there are some devotees who are scared to associate with non-devotees. Because they're scared they'll fall. And it's true. If you associate too strongly and too closely with non-devotees, you could fall. It's true. However, if you are preaching, you need to. So you associate there with them for the purpose of preaching, and then you quickly come out. You have to continue your sadhana. Sadhana is very important. Sadhana means your own chanting. your own devotional service practice. So, does that answer the question? Yes. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much for listening. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai.